Bruce Flanagan, and this is The Buzz on Media and Marketing. And today I have Abhijit Das with me from Leo Burnett. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bruce.
Great to have you with us.
My pleasure.
So we had you at one of the M2 events earlier this year, and we were really impressed with your insight into marketing and media. So we thought we'd have you on the show and be able to dig a bit deeper into some of those concepts that you talked about.
Well, that's great.
Why don't we start? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I am an Indian to start with. Yeah.
Right.
Born in Bihar. Bihar is a place which used to be a center of power, learning and culture in ancient India. It was also the place of origin of Buddhism. And it was also the place of origin of the first and the most powerful Indian empire.
Okay.
And if you must have traveled to India, you would have seen currency notes, and on that you have an emblem which has got some tigers back to back.
Okay. Yeah.
That emblem is borrowed from the Emperor Ashoka's emblem. Yeah. So yeah, so it was a very rich environment to grow up in, and I was raised in a nuclear family. We were living in a place very far from our relatives, and everybody outside our home would be speaking a different language. They had different customs, different food. So it was a very rich confluence of culture out there. And yeah, so I would say it was an interesting upbringing which inculcated a few things which I still carry till this date, and it's really helpful for my profession as a strategic planner as well as life.
Okay, great. Wait, what did you study?
I studied commerce in graduation.
Okay.
And then I did my master's in content creation and management.
Wow,
So
excellent.
it had parts of journalism, television, filmmaking, and digital content creation.
Great. So, and your first job, your first paying job?
Well, my first paying job was in a digital agency, a pure play digital agency. I did digital for 4 years.
Wow.
And then I moved into mainstream advertising, and that's what I was doing before I came to
Don't
Vietnam.
most people go the other way, mainstream into digital?
Yes, so
So you were cutting edge then?
yeah, I would like to believe so. Sometimes in Indian media, I was called as the example of a new age planner.
Ah,
Nice title to have, but it's very hard to hold on to.
okay.
I must admit, yeah.
Sounds like it's a political statement, something that says everything but doesn't say anything.
Well, we are in the business of communication, right?
Absolutely. Great. Okay. So, and from then, where did you travel to in career and geography?
Well, so 10 years in communication industry, largely in India, and then I was itching to get out of the world of India. It's
Okay.
the world of India, really.
India is already a big world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then while I was looking outside, I met people from Leo Burnett, which
Okay.
is my current employer, and I had a few options of Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And Vietnam appeared to me as a very well kept secret.
Okay.
So that made me curious, and that's one of the things that I carry from my upbringing. I'm really curious about things because the things that existed, there were more to it outside. Yeah. So yeah, I came to Vietnam. So my first assignment outside India,
Okay.
full time, is Vietnam.
And how long have you been here now?
A little more than 2 years now.
2 years. And how so far?
It's
Enjoy
amazing.
it? Challenging, interesting, wonderful?
I would say it's a great learning experience. It has added a lot to me as a person,
Okay.
and definitely it is a very big curve in my career as well, because pretty much I had to start things from the scratch here. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
Excellent.
And still learning.
So what do you actually do there at Leo Burnett?
So I head this division called strategic planning. It basically, if I were to simplify this work, it's basically trying to understand the culture of the country and the people, and then create a communication that reaches their heart, not only their head. So that's the role of a strategic planning discipline in communication for advertising.
Okay.
And at an organizational level, it is more like saying that you try and find ways to lead the industry to a place where everybody is happy with the results. So being an advertising agency, you are happy with the creativity.
Right.
People consuming your work are happy with the richness, because communication in advertising reflects the culture. So when you consume that communication, you feel good about yourself, proud about yourself, stuff like that. And it is good for business at the end of the day. So
Excellent. What's been some of the biggest challenges you've had in working Leo Burnett in Vietnam?
I think, so let's start with the fact that working in Vietnam and then Leo Burnett, because
Okay, sure.
the country first. I think the one big challenge that we all face, whoever comes from a different culture, is that there's a lack of a common language with the local businesses. So
Sure.
at a very basic level, it is the lack of a common business language, which is English for the rest of the world. And if the language is not there, then the understanding and therefore the output becomes Chinese whispers.
Okay, sure.
So
Yes.
language definitely was a,
So are you saying communication was the problem in your
for sure.
Yeah.
So, and primarily because of the language. The second challenge, not a problem, was the fact that the culture, I didn't know anything about the culture. So the well-kept secret, not that I know all the secret still, but I had no clue about it.
Okay.
So these were the two big challenges for me and therefore Leo Burnett as well, which we complemented over a period of time through extensive research. So we did two of the largest studies in Vietnam, both on men as well as women, for different clients.
Right.
And that gives you a grip of where people are currently in the evolution curve, and what link does it have to their past, and some possibilities of where they could be headed in the future.
Okay.
So that's one. Secondly, I think it was more of a personal learning curve for me, because when you come from India, which is a melting pot of cultures and stuff like that, you tend to assume that you've seen it all.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when you come to a new culture, you have this whole backdrop of what you know, and then you see a country, and you try to compare what you see here with what you already know. That constant comparison creates sometimes, and to be very honest, most of the times, I guess, a wrong impression of the culture. What I learned in my first assignment outside India in Vietnam is that if you want to learn a culture, you have to learn it in its totality and in isolation with the rest of the world, because this whole culture is very consistent on its own. It doesn't have to be this or that. Yeah, it is this, and you have to see the whole picture within the nuggets of, if I'm able to convey it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's an appreciation that I got of the culture, and frankly, there's a lot to figure out still. But at least now I am not held back by my notions, biases, and beliefs when I'm trying to.
Okay. Great. So, insightful learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think probably even life changing, because you don't take anything for granted,
Yeah.
and it fits well into my curious nature.
Yeah. Excellent. So, highlights
Highlights
of your career in Vietnam and
well, I think the biggest highlight is that I've been able to hold the ground for quite a long time and on a very tough footing, because we are the top three agencies in Vietnam in a short span of 2 years, and that too from nowhere. When I came in, there was no planning discipline in Leopoldnet, so I practically set it up from scratch. And in the market, we had big clients, but there was no one direction that we were following. So early on, when we came in, we set our vision for the agency in Vietnam, and we were a little bold to an extent that some people thought that we were mad, because we said that, why not make Vietnam the place of bringing the best practices in the world of creativity.
Okay, wow.
That was a little bold, but I think that is something that we have tried to live up to, and as any vision, it's there, you may not achieve it, but at least it gives you a direction that you feel fulfilled following. So we became gold winners 2 years in a row at a very prestigious industry award show, which is Campaign Asia.
Right.
And this year we added one more trophy, becoming the first agency in Vietnam to get 2 trophies in the same year, which is for being the digital agency of the year. We got a silver. We still have another mile to go for that.
But you're not a digital agency per se.
Well, yeah, that's one of the questions that we have been asked. I think that is one of the things that we have innovated about our service, or the value that we add to our clients. I'm a firm believer in creativity, and I think so do people who work in the advertising agency. They get drawn into the agency business for the creative ability or creative expression. But over the evolution of advertising, I think the creativity has got siloed and mostly parked into the creative team, which comprises of a skill called copy and art, or let's say production. And I think that is that's not a very good thing or good place to be in. And that's what we have innovated about our agency offering. We have taken creativity, or let's say spread it out outside the creative team per se. So the belief is very simple. Anybody who's working in the agency is a creative person.
Okay.
So anybody can come up with an idea. Yeah. And the only responsibility that the people with an idea for a commercial art like advertising is the fact that it has to be strategically correct and solve a business problem. It's not creativity for creativity's sake.
Okay, sure.
So I won't have any respect for awards which are on work that has not created business for the clients. So these few shifts in the way we think is what kind of marked my achievement, our achievement, and our business's achievement in this market.
Was the award for something, a specific work that you did?
No, it is for an overall industry.
Overall industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So how do you see the advertising, marketing, media business in Vietnam?
Well, you are yourself a person with extensive experience in media. So my impression of media has been that it's a little controlled in Vietnam. And before I come to advertising, one of the things that I see in this culture is also the fact that we are very inward looking as a culture. Very few times we want to look outside Vietnam as an industry per se, which prevents us from reaching the global standards or even standing out in the global platform. So those walls are something that I imagine would lower down in the times to come. Hopefully so, because interestingly, people do not deny with this whole understanding of saying that Vietnam is capitalistic and communist in practicality. So which means there is air for growth. So I feel the media will evolve into a more free expression driven stage. In addition to that, I think digital media would be a very, very big influencer. Now for me, digital media is not a digital channel like a mobile or an internet. I think digital has a role to play in the stage of the society.
Right.
For example, in India also digital medium is not a regulated medium. In Vietnam there are regulations, but you know how.
It's flexible.
Yes, it's flexible. So I think that gives a leeway for people to express themselves in a little more comfortable manner. So for me, digital media being able to influence in the future basically says that digital media will act as a catalyst for social change. And what all expressions would it have, whether it would have mobile as a big driver, whether it would have QR codes like we were talking about earlier, that's the details that time will tell. But definitely it's going to be.
In Vietnam, I've noticed that many of the big clients, especially, they love TV. So they're quite focused there. How do you see that in your strategic role, and do you see it changing?
See, the reality is that television has the highest reach in this country, and it will definitely have an important role to play for brands in this country. Moving forward, what I would expect is there are more choices in the mainstream television media channel. Currently, if you were to choose a media, there is only 2 or 3 choices. The programs are all the same. So you have a brand which wants to talk premiumness, and there's a brand which wants to be mainstream, and there's a brand which is just trying to be a utility. They're all talking to the people through the same program,
Right.
and most probably the same channel. So there's not so much of a difference that we can create by media choices on television. That is one of the things which is supposed to evolve in a slightly better condition. But having said that, television will always play an important role in creation of brands, because we are brand consultants and we are not about creating communication and then dispensing it or flushing it out through a channel which reaches X number of people. There is a certain impression that a television can create. For example, you take any unknown brand and put it on television and put it on digital media. When people find it on television, they would believe that it is a credible company because it is on national television. So there are associations that a brand can achieve by being on a certain kind of media channel. So that advantage television would have. Reach definitely is.
Sure.
So I don't think it would change drastically over the next few years.
But in the sense of market segmentation, I mean, you might have 90 million eyeballs watching TV, but only 5 million could afford your product or service that you're trying to advertise. So it in part would depend on your market segment.
That's absolutely true, and great that you raised this point, because for me, I think this country is still at a level where products and brands are after penetration rather than creation of brands. I think the conversations in the last 2 years have evolved into a situation where we have clients talking about, I want to create a brand, and then some clients even saying, I want to create a premium brand. So, but these are few and far in between. This is not the situation of this market. The market is unexplored in so many categories. There are so many categories that don't even exist currently. So it is a situation where it is about penetration, distribution largely.
Right.
And when it comes to that, then you need something which can give you that scale.
Right. And so, I mean, that's why a lot of advertising from FMCGs.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, interesting. So, where do you see the future of, especially advertising in Vietnam then changing? What will it look like in 10 years' time?
Well, I don't know about I cannot speak for the industry per se, because we are following a slightly different path.
Okay. So tell us about that, how you see it from your perspective.
I think the biggest distinction of Leo Burnett lies in the approach towards brand building, and to that effect, we have a great philosophy which kind of, pulled me in. The philosophy is called humankind, and In a simple way, it says that brands need to have a human purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's a you know a different kind of a concept than the concept of positioning and USP
Right.
in the idea of brand building in the past.
Okay, sure.
Right? So it almost looks at a brand as a person, and therefore it has to have a role in that person's life or the people around him. And it's based on three tenets. And so the first tenet goes where we say that we believe in learning about people, not consumers or users.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. The second tenet talks about populism, and populism basically means that we believe in the social causes or people's movements. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at Facebook and you look at some of the events that have happened in the past in Vietnam in the last 2 years, people have been very expressive about it
Mhm.
on digital medium,
Right.
on a place like Facebook. And brands need to follow that to create their relevance in people's lives, because that is what matters to them most.
Mm-hmm.
So populism, another tenet. The third tenet is a definitive shift in the way Leo Burnett talks about advertising, and it reflects also the evolution of media in today's time and age. We believe that brands need to act, not just talk. Act or talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's reflective of the media evolution, because today channels are two-way communication.
Right, sure.
And when we talk about consumers, and in a Leo Burnett way, people, they are more experience seekers.
Mm-hmm.
Which means as a brand you have to get out of the shelf, get out of the television, and be where people are. Interact with them in a meaningful way.
Right.
So it's not about ads, it's about acts. So these are the three tenets that form this whole philosophy. And given this whole idea, we are actually moving into a more of an advisory role with clients. And thankfully, in the last 2 years, the industry has recognized us for that. Our clients have bought into us for that.
Mm-hmm.
They have bought into us for being their extended marketing partner
Okay.
than a supplier as
Okay,
a
sure.
communication agency. So
Mhm.
that shift is where we see ourselves in the future.
So do you see clients listening? Because some advertising people I've spoken to find that a big challenge. They come up with ideas and concepts, and clients are quite conservative. So if you're being more of that strategic advisor partner to them, what's the response been like?
I would say that it's not entirely a function of the clients alone. The market also needs to be at a level like that. So I mean, again, going back to what we were discussing before, the media is not that evolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of censorship on television.
Mm-hmm.
So they are operating in a controlled market.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference that we find is that when we say clients are conservative, they're not trying to err on the side of boldness. They're erring on the side of caution.
Mm-hmm.
That's a business thinking. Some clients may have that thinking, some clients may not. But are the clients listening? Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you would notice this whole change, because when I had come in, majority of the clients would have at very senior level of marketing position, they would have some international talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that talent is moved on into a level where it is training the local talent to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
So which means that if these guys are being trained to get there, which means they are more aware and eligible to make such decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And to be very honest, I think only local talent at that level can make those decisions, because they can talk or they can convince themselves and their people about that decision much
Right.
better than we can.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we are in a good position in terms of where we are headed.
Mm.
Have we hit it yet? Too early.
Right. Okay. Good. If you were have the opportunity to speak to either advertising media executives in Vietnam, or someone starting out new in wanting to enter the industry, what's some advice or thoughts you'd like to share with them?
I think the first thing that I would like them to think about is, think outside Vietnam as a benchmark to what you can be, what you can achieve, or where you should be headed. Even if you're operating in Vietnam, you have to be at the same level as anybody else in the same profession in any other part of the world. So that should be the benchmark to start with. The second thing I would urge them to do is definitely learn about their culture. There's a lot of national pride in Vietnam, but that national pride needs a lot of awareness and sharing, and that needs to happen more often. So I think these are the two things which are critically important in a communication industry which is reflecting people and made by people. So you need these kind of people to talk for people at large. One who have their benchmarks in the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The second is that they need to be proud and informed about their culture.
So
be able to.
Are you suggesting that sometimes they don't appear to be aware of their own cultural distinctives?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
Interesting.
feeling. Yeah.
Okay.
And especially for the fact that my discipline is about building communication out of the richness of culture,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a hard time to find the talent
Okay.
to maybe turn them into a strategic planner per se,
Mm-hmm.
because you would find more people trying to tick the boxes, avoid confrontation,
Okay.
avoid point of view.
Uh-huh.
But if these three things will not create the kind of unique signature in the world, for example, if you look at advertising for Thailand, it has a own unique place in the world of communication.
Mm-hmm.
It has a unique signature. Vietnam hasn't arrived at that yet,
Mm-hmm.
and unless Vietnam arrives at that position, we are non-existent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Thanks for sharing that point of view. So, as we conclude, anything else that you'd like to share about what you or Leo Burnett or your thoughts about the industry?
I think we have talked about most of the things already.
Right.
Yeah, but I think I would definitely like to commend you and as well as the network to be able to bring industry together on platforms
Mm-hmm.
and create conversations, because
Right.
Vietnam was a very quiet country
Right.
on
Yeah.
these matters,
Yeah.
and without conversation, discussion and debate, there
Mhm.
is no moving forward. So I
Mhm.
really appreciate.
Okay, great.
effort.
Yeah, sure. So, communication about the communication industry. in
Absolutely,
Vietnam.
you can
Excellent.
write good taglines.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So again, my name's Bruce Flanagan, and you've been watching The Buzz on Media and Marketing.